So to make it a little bit different, a little bit more interesting, we're going to be cutting it out from the background, and we're going to be using an X-Acto knife or scissors. To correctly and carefully use an X-Acto knife, there's a right way and a wrong way, obviously. So our goal here is to get a nice clean cut around the legs, all the way around, so that later we can take it off of here and we can mount it onto a piece of colored paper that we could use, in which we're going to create a halo around it. So for example, here's a finished example of the assignment. You can see I cut out the legs and then I cut out the accent color and I put it on top of our scrape painting, which has a couple different colors similar to what we have inside the project. So, safety procedure for cutting out the legs. First and foremost, you're going to need a green cutting mat and you're going to use an X-Acto knife. Now, first of all, with the X-Acto knife, they are considered razors. They will cut you. You would probably need stitches. So the best thing to do is to pay close attention to what you're doing and how you're doing it. All right, never get distracted when you're using an X-Acto knife. First things first, you can see the angled part of the knife head is the blade. So when you take the cover off, my suggestion would be don't hold the cover back here. Don't go like this to pull it out, because if you pull that out and the blade comes across, it can cut your hand. So hold it this way, remove it. Now, you can see a little bit more clearly. This edge right here, where you see that little shine, that's the cutting edge. This edge is just the back. That can be touched. If you ever holding an X-Acto blade, you want to hold it here, obviously not on that sharp edge. If you notice by chance that the blade is loose, all you need to do is hold the back here and then twist this handle to tighten it up. All right. Now, there's one way to hold. You're going to hold it like a pencil. All right. And generally, you're only going to be using this area of the blade. All right. This end of the blade right here. You're not going to be cutting anything along there. So to take a look at how, right, you're going to just basically hold it like you would a pencil and do your curves this way, always pulling towards you. The other thing you're going to have to worry about is where your hand is. All right, obviously, I don't want to make any cuts. If I'm holding my paper, I don't want to make any cuts this way because my fingers are in the path of the cut. You might also want to check on here. How's it going to go? How am I going to cut through this? Well, if I put the tip down, I want to pull a little bit of pressure, and you can see the mark that it makes, and it makes a clean cut right through. If I'm doing a curve, see where my other hold hand is? My other hold hand is like behind the knife edge. All right, so that makes a nice clean cut. So if you noticed the movement of the blade, if I go cross section here, the movement of the blade is like this. All right, you can kind of see I'm not up here, I'm not down here totally flat. I have it on a nice angle, basically just with my hand resting on the table, and I'm just pulling back and doing the curves. You also don't want the blade to be left or right. All right, you want it to basically just be straight as you're pulling. So, best method for this is where you have that extra space at the top here, you're going to just, from the edge of the pant leg, leave that because we're going to mount that later onto the colored paper. So when I cut it out, you see what I have? I have that little tab. When I go to mount it on my colored paper, depending on if the pant legs meet or the pant legs don't meet, I'll have that little extra bit of paper in there to hold it together. All right. So I'm going to mount it like that. Here's how I cut it out. First and foremost, I'm going to start at the right-hand side. I always want to be able to see where my edge is and where my blade is. So I put my hand above and I just a little bit of pressure. Okay. Turn it and just follow the contours of the pant leg nice and smooth and cut it out. When I get to the bottom, or if I get close to running off the edge, I'm going to stop and I'm going to move it. All right, now, as I make that turn, I'm going to just turn the paper. Okay, I'm going to turn the paper. I'm not going to try to turn my hand so it gets in an odd way. I'm just going to turn the paper and then work around the edge of the shoe. And now turn it again and come down this side of the leg. Again, I can see this side. Now, when I get to this part of the leg, I'm going to turn it and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut from here and follow the contours of the fabric. Okay, if I cut down this way, I can't see the edge all that well on this leg. So I always want to kind of keep, with a right-handed cut, I always want to keep my information to the left so I can see the edge of the blade and I can see the edge of the drawing. All right, there it is, all cut out and ready to go. Now I'm just going to have to then select which mounting paper I want to put it on. And then I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to glue it down here and then X-Acto cut a halo of the color that it's going to be mounted on.